My name is Pat Brogan, and I'm the Director of Special Education at Pittsford Central School District. So right away, there's already a connection with Allendale Columbia School. We're in the same town. We both serve students in our community, and we're connected with a lot of educational activities, so it's a pleasure to be here today. We're here to talk about connections, as everyone else is, and it's an excellent word, and I think you're going to really like the connection with maybe the last group that performed here today. Connections are important in everything that we do, and the word we use all the time in different ways. I might say, let me connect with you on that. If you're a student, you might say, I really connected to the character in that novel. And then, of course, we say something like, what if I lose my internet connection? Then what do we do? So we want to see how we all might be connected in our community. And particularly today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about youth with developmental disabilities. So how are we all connected? We do know that about 10% of the world's population, 10% of the people have some form of a disability. So if we look in our audience today and see we have about 100 people here, that means about 10 of us have some form of a disability. And we all go about our days, going to school, going to work, doing things in the community. So sometimes when I think about when we say people with disabilities, they may be in the community, actually that they is actually really we, because we're all a part of that. We like to be in the community, we like to do our jobs and go to school. And that's what our focus is today. We want to say, how is our community continuing to include all people and supporting the growth and development of people with developmental disabilities in our community? This particular line is used a lot in communities when they're doing asset building and looking about how to build great communities. And it's about something that we all want, to be valued and challenged in what we do every day. And that really relates to meaningful relationships. We're influenced by the people that we're connected to, and through that we develop relationships. We also like to make contributions, whether it's to school, to work, or what we're doing in other parts of our lives. And in order to make a meaningful contribution, we need to be accepted. There's statistics and research that identify that people with disabilities make excellent workers. They are engaged in their work, they take off less time, and they're interested in contributing in the workplace. Or sometimes students with developmental disabilities have a little bit of a challenge with some of those more softer skills, which might be the relationship skills or those social and connection skills. And that's where some of this natural acceptance may come in. There might be times that we're looking to say whether or not you or I or another person will make that connection with one another, do that outreach, and begin to get to know somebody else. So how can we connect? We're looking to say we are all natural supporters of each other. In our workplace, there are times when we might ask one another for a little help on a project or understanding something. In school, we may do the same thing. It's that reciprocal give and take connection that forms a relationship that really makes all of us happier in our workplace and in our schools. So today we come to you to ask you, all of you, and particularly the youth in our audience, what could it take for you to help to continue that conversation about connectedness of all people in the community? What would it take maybe for you to start to identify how you might contribute to another person's life and how that person might contribute to your life? What I would say as advice is really, first and foremost, to assume ability. Not focus on disability, assume ability. Think about all the things that we might have in common and how we might together look at our community as an inclusive, engaging, and an accepting community. There's a term in architecture and in education called universal design. In architecture, it came about looking at, for example, adding a curb cut when we're putting in a new sidewalk, rather than waiting until someone who uses a wheelchair and might need a curb cut comes along. It's already universally designed and ready to go. And I would say most of us would be pretty happy to see that curb cut if we're coming through with a bicycle, a stroller with a baby, or rollerblades. There's also, in education, we call universal design for learning, where we look at curriculum instruction and how it's designed up front so it's accessible to everybody. Then we don't have to retrofit it or go back and change it when someone presents with a unique need. So I'm thinking maybe is there that universal design for communities? How can we break down any barriers that there might be, whether they be physical or communicative or social barriers, so that everybody is included and feels a member of the community? Because when you're a member of the community, you're connected. You're not just in your community, you're participating. Because mere presence is not as strong as participation, and it's participation that leads to relationships. At this point, I'd like to see if my friend Taylor would come up and share some information with us as well. Taylor has been one of my natural supports at work. She and other students have helped the Pittsford Central School District develop our high school and our transition program. Hi, Taylor.
Hello.
Hi, Taylor. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Taylor. I work at TJ Maxx and Applebee's.
And where do you go to school?
I go to school at Pittsford High School.
Taylor is a student there. She's an athlete, very involved in the community, an advocate, a terrific worker, and a friend. So Taylor, I wanted to talk a little bit about some connections. That's what we were talking about today. So at your workplace, do you have people that you're connected with?
Yeah, my friends.
Oh, your friends. So how did they become friends with you at the workplace? How did you get to know them?
You introduce yourself.
Oh, okay, good. So did you introduce yourself to them?
Yep.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, how about, are there times when someone introduces themselves to you?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Was that any place in particular that happened?
No.
No? So if someone introduced themselves to you, what would they say?
Hello.
Hello. So you get to...
My name is...
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So when someone introduces themselves to you, how's that make you feel?
Happy.
Happy. Okay, good. How about at work or in the community? I know you're involved with so many things. Do people ever help you?
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of that you could share with us?
No, not really.
How about in your Special Olympics? Does anybody help you?
Coaches.
Okay. So there might be coaches. There could be job coaches at your jobs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there could be your transition specialist. There could be teachers at school that
Yeah.
help, right? So everybody needs a little bit of help, don't they?
Yep.
Don't you think everybody might?
Yep.
How about, do you help other people?
Yep.
Okay, where do you help other people?
At my dance class.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit about that?
I work at this dance class at Peter's Family Life Center with the little kids.
Okay, so you help the younger kids.
Yep.
Okay, so sometimes in our lives, people help us,
Yeah.
and then sometimes in our lives, we help other people, right?
Yep.
This is a picture of you at one of your work locations, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, what are you doing here?
Making hamburgers.
Very cool. Do you interact with people at your job?
Yep.
When do you interact with them?
When it's a good time.
It's a good time. What's a good time? What might be a good time?
When you're not busy.
Oh, that's great. That is a message for all of us, I think. Right? That's terrific. So sometimes what I hear from you, Taylor, in our talk today is that we can get help and we can give help.
Yep.
We really like it when people introduce themselves to us. Do you think the people liked it when you introduced yourself to them?
Yep.
Yeah. Those are all ways we can make connections, aren't they?
Mhm.
So if somebody wanted to know, how would I go about connecting to a student that I may not know, or a worker that I may not know, or someone who may be a little bit different from me, or someone who may be the same as me? What would be the best advice to give them? How would you get to know somebody?
Ask for help.
Just ask for help? How would you get to know another person?
Introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself. Say hello. Find out what you have in common, right?
Yep.
That's the way that we make connections. So if we have a message for our audience today and anyone who may see us when this is on the internet,
Yep.
we want that connection to be, take the first step. Introduce yourself,
Yep.
say hello, make a connection, and then pass it forward, don't you think?
Yep.
Thank you very much.